5, 6, 7, 8, and 1. Hi, I'm Lila. This is High Crime, a show where I take an edible and get way too stoned and talk about a disgusting serial killer.
Let's go, girls.
I'm so excited for today's episode. It's really something special. I think you guys are really gonna love it. Last week, and I can't believe I'm gonna say this, I wasn't high enough. I think I could get just a little bit higher. So I'm just gonna do a half of the wild ones. Cheers. Should I do a little bit of a bite of another one? Just like a nibble? I'm gonna pass away. Yes! Yes! That was an accident. You fucking bitch. We're gonna Home Depot later, right? Yeah. Fuck yeah, dude.
Come on.
My eyes open? I can do this. You are a strong Jewish queen. So today I'm going to be covering Katherine Knight. A woman. So women can be psychopaths too.
Hey now, this is what dreams are made of.
Katherine Knight was born in New South Wales, Australia, sometime in the 70s, 60s, in another time. And she was a product of an affair. Her father was violently sexually and physically abusive to her, and also to her mother. He would force her to have sex with him 10 times a day. So it's a good environment to grow up in. 12 out of 10. Healthy, stable, normal. I just had to talk to the mailman. That was traumatizing. She was sexually abused by several members of her family pretty much her whole life. So not a great start to life. So out of high school she got a job as a clothing cutter, but after that she got her dream job, which was to be a slaughterhouse worker. It was the family business. She was so thrilled, and she is said to be just incredible with a knife, so good at her job. Where was I? And she quickly got promoted to the bone room. And this is where she meets David Kellett, her first husband, and I think she was 18 at the time, which in like Australia meat world, that should have meant that she was married and had a baby already. So she pressured David into marrying her, and he was very much an alcoholic. We all can't be me, you know, healthy coping mechanisms 100% of the time. It was a terrible relationship. On their wedding night, David woke up to Katherine strangling him because he fell asleep after having sex 3 times. But on her parents' wedding night, they had sex 5 times. So she's like, that won't be all, sir. On the wedding day, Katherine's mom was like, David, watch out for this one because she'll kill you. She was a bigger girl, and she physically threatened anyone who crossed her. She would just be like, I'll fucking kill you. And they'd be like, we're just joshing around, man. So they would get into fights, and she would beat him up. One night, he came home late, so she threw all of his clothes on the lawn, set it on fire, and then knocked him out with a frying pan. That's love. Feel really high. But am I high enough? I got myself bangs. Will they grow out? Yes. Will I ever get over this? No. So they have a baby. David peaced out because he couldn't take the abuse anymore, and she went nuts. She was seen with the baby in a stroller and throwing the stroller side to side. Left her on train tracks. She wasn't doing well. A few days later, Katherine slashed the face of a woman and demanded she drive him to Queensland, which was where David was with the other woman. They stopped at a gas station. She found a little boy and held him hostage until David came back to her. Which, ultimately, I get. We've all done some crazy ex shit. So she was admitted to the psychiatric hospital, and she told the nurses that her intention was to kill the mechanic, the local mechanic of the town, who had one leg, and his name was Hoppy. Australians are so funny. She threatened to kill the mechanic because he's the reason David left, because he had to fix his car, and his car took him to Queensland. Did I explain that correctly? But even after this, David left his new girlfriend for Katherine. Still in the closet. She left him for David Saunders. They call him Sondo. Her type is David. And that moved really quickly. They moved in together after only, I think, a few weeks of knowing each other. What are they, lesbians? Once again, a very abusive relationship. But at one point, this is so upsetting, she takes Sondo's new 2-month-old puppy, slits his throat, and she said it was because she was cranky. Cranky's always a good excuse. I don't care what anybody says. And then knocked him out with a frying pan. It's her weapon of choice. And I get it. Easy, accessible, unassuming, some Bugs Bunny shit. He then was like, I'm leaving, goodbye. John Chillingsworth, the most Hufflepuff of the four. And then she left him because she was having an affair with John Price, the man of the hour. Again, incredibly graphic. He always said, if anything happens to me, it's Katherine. If I don't show up to work, call the police. So one night, I think he had kicked her out at this point. She went that day, got some sexy black lingerie, and Brisket, please stop licking your asshole. And she had sent his kids to a sleepover, and she came on over while he was sleeping. They had sex, and he fell asleep. And then, so the next morning, John didn't come in for work, so they call the police. They go over to check on him. They're knocking, he's not answering. They see that his car is still there, though, so they're like, that's unusual. Then, so they started to peek in through the windows, and one cop saw, like, blood, and it was behind this curtain, like this thick curtain. So they go in, and what they see is an actual nightmare. He'd fallen asleep, and when he fell asleep, she stabbed him 37 times. Stabbing someone is really fucking hard. I don't know by personal experience. In, out, 37 times. You try it right now. You couldn't do it, could you? So don't tell me how to do my job. So this cop hushed over this curtain, and they're like, hang on, this is no curtain. This is human skin. She had skinned him with such precision that they could actually put the skin back on him for the funeral service. And he was decapitated, but they said that the cut was so clean and precise that she had to have been very calm while doing it. That is haunting. And they found his headless torso and his legs were crossed. I don't know what that means. Maybe it's an inside joke. I don't get it. Police were looking around, and they saw on the kitchen table was a meal, like a slab of meat, 2 plates, and with nameplates that said John's kids' names. So she was planning on feeding their father to them. She had been cooking and eating him, and they found his decapitated head floating in a pot with like veggies and potatoes and onions. So they make a nice little head stew. That was a chair, I didn't fart. This was a devastating crime scene. Seasoned cops who had been there years. Some of them quit, and some of them couldn't eat meat for months after seeing this. I'm so hungry. Are you responsible to Postmates McDonald's? And she claims she did it because his kids had been raping her kids. It was a fun little like Brady Bunch situation. But she put in a plea of not guilty, but she never took responsibility. She never felt remorse. And her counsel argued that she should be excused from seeing the crime scene photographs because it was too graphic. And they were like, fuck no, she's gonna see every single one of those pictures. I definitely could have done my research, but here we are, this is what you get, okay? You're not coming here for a history lesson, let's face it. You came to see me. She was the first woman ever in Australia to receive life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. Ever. She's actually not a serial killer. Serial killers have to kill 3 or more people at a separate time. So she only killed 1 person, but she's still fucking crazy. Thanks for tuning in, you guys. Definitely taking suggestions, recommendations, and donations. Let me know if you want to hear about a serial killer. I'll let you know if I want to do that. And then we can both fuck off.
Man, I feel like a woman. Hey!